Hi, I'm Joe Catrambone, CEO of the Stuart Martin County Chamber of Commerce, and it's my pleasure today to have the warden of the Martin Correctional Institution with me today. And this is the only way I want to be around him is in a setting like this. I don't want to meet him at his workplace or place of work unless I'm taking a tour.
Absolutely, yes,
Okay.
sir.
Okay. So I usually don't do this, Jeffrey, I'm impressed. I want people to know a little bit about you where you don't have to toot your own horn.
Yes, sir.
So after serving in the U.S. Navy, Warden Jeffrey Robinson began his career as a correctional officer with the Florida Department of Corrections in 1999. While working for FDC, Jeffrey attended Polk State College, where he obtained a dual certification in both corrections and law enforcement, and went on to become a certified instructor in topics such as CERT, basics and intermediate sniper, counterterrorism, that one really intrigues me, firearms, which I love, defensive tactics, and more. So, Warden, thank you so much for
Yes, sir.
coming.
It's
It's
a
a
pleasure
pleasure
being
to
here.
meet you. And I got a thousand questions, but rather than do that, why don't you give an overview for our viewers, or whoever may be viewing this, on what your duties are and what your functions are?
Oh, well, my primary duties as Warden Mark Correctional, I'm kind of, each facility is like it's our own contained city. We have education department, we have medical department, we have food service. Of course, security would be the police department, EMS, fire department, all wrapped up into one. All my officers fulfill these functions every day. They do all these roles all into one. And my job is to kind of oversee and manage, uh, make sure everything is running functionally like it's supposed to, ensure we have a maintenance department, make sure everything is being maintained, and we can keep our facility up and running. So I get the privilege and honor of managing and supervising almost 500 staff members at Martin Correctional, which come from our surrounding area. And so it's why it was important for me to come on out and join the community because my staff are in the community and we want to bridge that gap and, you know, get my staff involved in the community events. And then I really like to get involved in the community events in
That's
Martin
great.
County.
Well, you joined the right chamber.
Yes,
Or
sir.
you're in the right chamber. So please have would love it. Would absolutely love it. We could, I don't know if it's something that on your agenda that you would like to do. You can make a presentation at one of our luncheons.
Sure.
Tell everybody about because I was confused with the county jail.
Yes, sir. Yes,
So,
sir.
you're a state prison.
Yes, sir.
How many prisoners?
At my main unit facility, I have 1,500 inmates, and I have a work camp adjacent to my facility, which has 250. I also have 3 satellite facilities down in West Palm. I have 2 work release centers and a road prison that hold almost 100 inmates right now. So I have almost around 1,850 inmates under my supervision
With 500 employees.
with 500 employees. And now those,
Wow. And they're not all frontliners.
they're not all frontliners.
Yeah.
We have a lot of non-security staff, but we couldn't do our job without the non-security staff. Our classification department, our education department, our medical department, all these different departments have to function together to keep the facility running and to help maintain everything. So it's really a teamwork effort with the Florida Department of Corrections.
Is there a rule of thumb or something that says that you should have this many employees for this many inmates?
Yes, sir. We have a thing called our security rosters with our level ones, and so our rosters dictate on how many officers need to be on duty to effectively run and manage a facility. Because our facility, we don't shut down. We're at 24/7 operations, weekends, holidays, birthdays. My staff come to work through all these things through the hurricane. We were all there at work. Everyone was working. So we constantly running. But at our facility is mandated that we have to have, you know, X amount of officers per shift to effectively run and manage the facility.
At each shift?
At each shift we have to, it's called a level one. It's our critical complement, and we have to meet that every day.
your officers, do you have what's the ratio, male and female? Do you have female officers?
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. We have female officers. We have female sergeants, lieutenants, captains. We don't discriminate on gender, race. We're
Yeah.
100%.
How do you, I mean, you have female officers.
Yes, sir.
And I've not been to your facility, but I've been
Not
to
yet.
jails. Okay,
Yes,
and
sir.
we're going to talk about your facility because I think our leadership program needs to include a tour of your facility.
absolutely.
Work out something. So how do you work out? I mean, the jails I've seen are wide open. There's toilets in there, and there's
Yes, sir.
so
Yes, sir.
with female officers, how do you handle that type of a situation
Well, now,
with male inmates?
yeah. Now, certain positions we have require gender specific, where female staff cannot work in, and vice versa. At a female prison, there are certain positions that are gender specific that male officers.
Oh, you have a
can work
female
in.
prison in the same? in
Not with me, but we have the
Okay.
female prison. I believe the closest one is up in Ocala.
Okay.
There's two of them up there, and so each facility has gender-specific positions. But over the years, we have taken steps through the Department of Corrections to ensure that not only do we protect all our staff, but protect our inmate population as well. So we ensure there's certain blinders, if you would say, put up where staff can see in, but you don't see the private parts. Certain
Gotcha.
half walls put up
Yeah.
so people can do things in privacy, but still be monitored to make sure that no nefarious activities are occurring.
What's your what is your how am I going to put that? What is your most serious concern every day when you go to work?
My most serious concern every day is the safety of my staff. I want to make sure all my staff that walk into work that day or that night walk out the same way and go home to their loved ones. That's a pressing concern that keeps me up at night, and I would venture a guess it keeps up a lot of leadership at night. That is our most concern. Fortunately for us, in the state of Florida, under the direction of Secretary Dixon, we've done very well at that. But it's still prison, it's still dangerous. We still have these type of situations that happen from time to time. But the safety of my staff is my paramount concern, and of course the safety of the public. That's our primary function, is protect the public, protect our residents and the residents of the state of Florida.
What type do you segregate violent offenders with a first-time offender? Do you segregate? Do you try to manage that?
Oh, yes, sir.
Or-
Under Secretary Dixon, we've started facilities where if you're a first-time offender and you have you're 5 years or less on your first-time offense, we send you to a particular facility where you're around like-minded individuals, where you receive programming, you receive education, mental health, to help reduce the recidivism rate. Because the idea and the whole purpose of Florida Department of Corrections is not just to keep our citizens safe, but to help lower that recidivism rate, so when these men and women leave us, they don't come back. Because if we don't do our best to try to, help them, when they get out, they commit a new crime. And with a new crime, you have new victims. And the whole point is to reduce the victims in the state of Florida to make it safe as possible. So we do try to separate that. And then if you have a more violent population, because you do have that from the time to time, we have facilities that are designed to handle the more violent inmates, where they're segregated away from the more compliant inmates, the ones that are going to class, the ones that are going to groups and meetings and are trying to do the right thing to go home to their families.
What is your recidivism rate?
Right now, currently, our recidivism rate is 21% in the state of Florida. If I'm not mistaken, we're one of the best in the
I was
nation.
going to say that's pretty good.
That is pretty good, but we would like it to be better. And, Secretary Dixon, he gave us a marching orders at the first of the year saying we do security well. We manage our facilities probably the best in the nation, but we got to get better at the reentry aspect. We got to get better at the programming aspect. And so we really dived in and really jumped in on the programming And Secretary Dixon went to Governor DeSantis and to our local politicians and said, I need help. I need some more teachers. I need more education. And under the leadership of Governor DeSantis and our politicians in the state of Florida, they said, you know what, we're going to do better. And they gave us more teacher positions. They gave us more financial assistance to have more classes, more vocational training, which is important. So when these guys get out, they have a trade or a skill and hopefully change their mindset a little bit, because that's really what you have to do. You have to focus on the mindset, change the mindset, because you really want these guys to come out, or women, because we have female prisons, become productive members of society and not come back and not create new victims.
Do you have, I'm sure you do, how does visitation work?
So we have visitation on the weekends.
Just weekends?
Yeah, Saturday, Sunday, and major holidays, we allow visitation, and it runs from 8:30 to 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Saturdays, Sundays, and major holidays. They have to submit an application process. The applicants get vetted, and then they sign up, and they're put on the schedule, and they come on in to visit. And of course, in the visitation part, we have vending machines, we have canteens, we have a photographer, so if they want to purchase pictures, they can take pictures with their loved ones. They could buy little snacks, because you're there all day. You're going to get pretty hungry.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so sodas, chips, sandwiches, things like that they could purchase.
This is going to off the wall question.
Sure.
If you've got a wife visiting a husband, do you have a private area?
Oh, no,
for
sir.
them?
No, sir. No, the state of Florida, some states do allow conjugal visits. I
Yeah.
believe California is one of them, but the state of Florida does not allow conjugal visits. So it's not a private setting. It's an open forum. Everyone's at the tables.
Yeah.
Right. Yes, sir. And we also have an outside area where if it's a nice day, they want to sit outside. We have a little park for them to go sit outside with their loved ones and visit outside.
What thing do you think that y'all provide to these prisoners to keep them from coming back? What do you feel is the most important thing?
Well, right now, giving them the structure and the guidance, a lot of these men have not had. So we give them the structure, we give them the guidance, we put them on a schedule, give them a routine. And so when we give them that structure and that guidance, they know what to expect. And then, we treat them like men. If they act like men and they approach us like men, they're treated like men. They're not talked down to, they're not belittled, they're treated like men. So our education numbers are extremely high. We have a lot of our residents are requesting to go in these classes. They enjoy these classes, trying to earn their GED, which we know is very important. You have to have a minimum education really to do anything in the state of Florida. So, and we're trying to expand our opportunities for our men. That's one of the primary reasons why I joined the chamber, because I'm looking for volunteers, because our volunteer base is so important to the Department of Corrections. Because there's a lot of things we can't do on a day in and day out basis that we just can't have the wide variety that these volunteers provide. And a lot of our volunteers are from local churches, which is phenomenal, because no matter what denomination you believe, what religion you believe, having that structure and guidance from religion is important. But also classes, we have volunteers come in and do AA, NA, fatherhood classes. We have someone, I worked at a facility where they came in and taught them how to manage a checkbook and how to do your balances and pay bills, which if you've been in prison 15, 20 years, that's something that's pretty new and scary to you when you get out. So having that little bit of knowledge goes a long way.
What percentage would you say, I'm sure you know, what percentage of your inmates come in that don't have a high school degree, education?
I would say at Martin Correctional, we have probably about 25% of our population that does not have a formal high school or GED education.
Which is part of the problem, obviously.
Which is part of the problem,
Yeah.
right? And which is, well, I'm glad, like Martin Reeds has reached out to me, because, there is a correlation of a lower education, a high crime rate. So a lot of people that don't have that education, they feel there's nowhere else for them to do, nowhere to go, so they turn to crime. So providing just a basic education, reading, writing, these type of skills is really imperative. Matter of fact, at Mark Correctional, we had partnered with Palm Beach State College, and we did an agricultural program. And when these men graduated, they graduated with an associate's degree in agriculture, which was pretty phenomenal.
That almost guarantees they won't be back.
Right,
Yeah.
right, and that's the hope. That is
Yeah.
absolutely the hope, is that when these men and women leave us, that they don't come back.
I'm kind of, it, ki- because of my position, obviously, I mean, a little bit of a red flag went up when you said we want volunteers to come and teach people.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Okay,
sir.
so tell me, what are the conditions? I mean, what type of a volunteer would be, what do you need most right now, volunteers?
Really, anyone that is willing to take their time out of the day and spend time to help give these men something to look forward to, give them a positive light, kind of help reconnect them with their community, and to teach them a skill. I would love to get a fatherhood class inside the Department of Corrections, because not just the Department of Corrections studies, but if you research it, a lot of the inmate population, not just Florida, but nationwide, when the father's not in the home, the chance of that person succeeding in life goes way down. So the father in the home is very important. And it's very important for me to get these men to have some sort of structure and learn this, because a lot of these men, this is what they're used to, is not having a father in the home. Their father was in prison, or their grandfather was in prison. So the people that they should be looking up to and being mentored are not around. So a lot of the men that we have, I'd like to change their mindset, so they can have that program. So when they get out in the community, they have family, they have a son, they have a daughter. They can get out there and be a mentor and a leader.
So you're talking about fatherhood classes for those who aren't fathers already, or would,
Or both, because
both.
if you're not a father already, it would be great for you to understand the
What it
importance of your
takes.
role when you become a father, or the ones who are already fathers and think that they're doing a good job because this is all they know. So if they get a different perspective, someone to teach them and show them that it's not just a phone call, you have to be there, you have to be involved, you have to be active. This is what children need from a father. They need that strong leadership.
to me, that would be so difficult. But have you seen an instance, and I'm sure you have, an instance where how do you teach a 40-year-old guy that's probably had 3 kids, how do you teach him to be a father?
Well, it is unique, and there's challenges with it, and some people are resistant to that. But a lot of the men, if it's because when you have volunteers come in, obviously it's a volunteer base, so the inmates are allowed to choose to come to that class. So if they're coming to that class, they've already recognized, I'm not doing something right. I want to learn a different way, and so that's what makes it really easy. To be honest with you, when someone realizes that something's not right, and they know they need to make a change, they're more open to learn and more open to see something different. And we have televisions inside the facility. These men get newspaper and periodicals and things like that. So they're seeing the studies themselves on the impact of them not being there, on what it needs to be.
Devastating.
It is. And they know they need to change, because they don't want their son, their daughter, to end up where they're at. They just don't know how. So this is where I think the fatherhood programs are extremely important.
Do you, as an inmate, do they have an option to what course they want to take, or do they have an option to go into this fatherhood course? Do they choose that, or do you know their history and put them in there?
Oh, no, sir. Of course, with the volunteer, because we don't have that fatherhood class as a core class for us. That'd be a strictly, a volunteer willing to come in and donate their time to help these men out. So it would be a strict volunteer for these men to go in and take this class. But, with the Department of Corrections, we have a wide variety of classes of vocational trade skills. We have welding classes, masonry classes, agricultural classes. The last facility I was at Santa Rosa, they had a CDL program where these guys actually sat there and took the whole CDL class. And so when they got out of the facility, they could go take their CDL test and be
Nice.
CDL drivers.
Good money.
It is. It was a fantastic program. But, each facility has different, things that are specialty to them. And of course, the men, they're allowed to request it. And our class, and this is where our classification department is so important. Our non-security, the ones that the people don't see, because they look through and they find the education of these men. They find their length of sentence and what they need, and they rank them for services so we could put them in the right class. If someone comes to us with no high school diploma, they're ranked for services to go in the GED class. We put them in the GED class. So if someone has their GED and they have a high skill here in a certain area and they want to take a welding class, we rank them for services, and they get them sent to the facility that holds a welding class or a masonry class. So there's a lot of different avenues for these men to take.
Is there something that, what happens, and I don't know what it might be. Suppose an inmate says, I need to learn about this, and you don't offer that as a program. I don't know what it might be. That's probably off the wall.
Right.
Well, how would you handle that?
So we would have the inmate, he would write a request to his classification officer. And the classification officer, like I was saying, would review his file. And if he's eligible to take this particular program, unfortunately, we don't have enough of programs to
Right,
go around
obviously.
all over
Sure.
all over the place. So that's why we rank them for services. And if this particular individual is ranked for a particular service, they'll go on the wait list. Sometimes they may go above other people that's on the wait list to get them because they may be closer to going home. And the idea is when you go home is to stay home. So we want to make sure you learn a skill.
We don't
So
want to see you again.
Right, because a lot of these classes that we offer, yes, it's hard work, but masonry is good money. Welding is very good money. CD truck drivers, very good money.
Those
So
truck drivers are knocked down 6 figures.
yes, sir, yes, sir.
Now they're on the road.
Yeah, and so if you could give an individual leaving the Florida Department of Corrections a gainful employment when they leave, that really reduces the chance of them coming back. So like what I've started here at Mark Correctional, we have a reentry program coming into us through Damascus. And their program is a 2-year program, which the first year works on the mindset of the individual, learning what was wrong, how it's wrong, and then they start teaching them basic skills. And because of the meeting I had with the chamber, a local construction company reached out to me, and they're requesting to hire individuals that are leaving my facility.
That's great.
It is, because if I could get someone gainful employment, hopefully we are reducing
You'll
that
never
person.
see him again.
And that's
I'm
the idea.
Guessing.
Yeah,
But that's just common sense.
you would. Yeah, that is the hope, and so
Yeah.
that's what we're trying to do. So we're trying to get this program up and running to help change their mindset, and then when they leave, if they leave to the Stewart, Martin County area, they have employment ready for them.
What's the most difficult, and this is a broad question, but what's the most difficult issue to overcome, especially when you get like a 19 or 20-year-old, no father, no education? What's the most difficult thing to overcome? Or is it to win his trust? Is it, I'm,
Well, with especially someone that young, I'm pretty sure we remember when that young. We were a little young or reckless during that time
yeah,
frame.
10 foot tall and bulletproof.
Absolutely, absolutely. We all were, especially men. That's why our car insurance is higher. We take more risks.
That's why we die younger too.
Yes, sir. So, we try to make sure we get these individuals ranked correctly, and that's where our classification is so needed, especially if you get someone that young, that's sentenced as an adult and it's their first time offense. This is where we get them to these facilities to where they're around first time offenders such as themselves, and a lot of those individuals are young as well, and there's a lot more programming and classes for them to attend to help change their mindset, to help get through to them, and to ensure they don't come back.
Do they seem, everybody's different, but do they seem receptive? Do they want to learn? Do they want to be reformed in most cases?
Well, you have a lot to do, and you're always going to have those few that no matter what you do, they're going to come
just
back.
is, yeah.
But you still got to try. You can't be discouraged from those few that are just not gonna get it and come back, because you never know. You might actually reach one, and they might not come back.
Yeah, that's got to be rewarding too.
Right. But for the most part, a lot of our inmate population is receptive. When I do weekly tours of my facility and I walk around, and sometimes I'll just do random inspections throughout the week or weekend. And a lot of my population comes up to me and they're like, "Hey, Warden, can we get this class? Can we get this?" And I tell them, I'm trying, I'm working on it. Because matter of fact, I have a teacher's position vacancy, which is for vocation. And so I'm trying to get a vocational teacher in. So this gives me another opportunity to teach not just GED, but I could teach a vocation that is practical to the real world, to where when these men get out of the facility, they could go to an employer and say, "I've had this training. I'm hireable. I am now marketable to be hired."
How how do your salaries, for instance, a welder instructor in your facility is compared to a welder instructor at IRSC? How's the salary
Yeah.
comparison? Are you able to compete?
Some areas we're able to compete. The starting salaries for we'll start with a correctional officer. Correctional officer now is $48,000 a year.
How much?
$48,000 a year, and you have retirement.
That's
you
all
have
the bennies.
health insurance, everything like that. Compared to when I started in '99, my salary was $19,500. So
How'd you live?
well, back then that was pretty good money. But
Yeah,
there was
yeah.
for a while we didn't get quite a lot of raises. But Secretary Dixon has really fought for the Florida Department of Corrections, and Governor Ron DeSantis has been a very big supporter, and
Yeah,
he is.
he's a dynamo.
Oh, he's fantastic,
Yeah,
and he has really supported us. And our local politicians statewide have really assisted us on that and gave us competitive pay raises. My educators coming in, they start out at $50,000 a year,
That ain't bad.
so that's not bad. Now it's hard to compete on
Plus all the bennies.
plus all the benefits because you're a state employee, so you get the state health insurance, state retirement. So, but also get an educator, and you have to get over the stigma of prison, because a lot of people, their vision of prison is what you see on movies and TVs,
Yeah,
and it's not always like that.
yeah.
So, but 50,000 is a good salary. My classification officers, they start at 49,000, which is it's
That's
a good
decent,
entry
yeah.
salary.
I'm
Yes,
not
sir.
sure the sheriff's department is that high. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I'm just guessing.
Well, I have a great relationship with Mr. Snyder and Martin County
Yeah,
Sheriff's Department, but I don't want to plug them right now.
Yeah, I love Will. We're gonna miss him.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
he's very good.
Yeah. Is there anything that we've missed that you want to share that we haven't talked about that you'd like your viewers to know about yourself or the institution or whatever?
Well, not really so much about myself, but for Martin Correctional Institution, we were really trying to upgrade our programs for our inmate population, and that's really going to help with our volunteer base. And so I would really encourage anyone out there that's interested in being a mentor and guiding men and helping them try to achieve a better life when they get out. Please reach out to me, and I would love to have a conversation with you, put you through our vetting process, and get you on the schedule to teach a class, because we are open to as many volunteers that want to come in. I will try to accommodate any program possible to help benefit. And programs are important because a lot of prison time is downtime. So we try to keep these men engaged. And if you could keep them engaged in programs and activities and doing things, they're not focused on doing bad things. They're out in recreation, they're in class, they're at a program, they're learning a new skill, they're learning a new mindset, which is imperative. It makes the prison safer, and it makes the community safer when these guys get out.
Okay. Warden, thank you so much.
I appreciate it.
We're going to have a conversation. I think you need to come to one of our, like a luncheon,
Okay, yes, sir.
and do a presentation. But why don't we plan on getting together? My office, we'll sit down, get some of my staff in there, pick their brains, and see what we can come up with.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. I
Okay,
appreciate your time.
Have a good day.